Hi, I'm really enjoying this. Is our last week of doing a panel, doing learning on kingdom family. And I just wanted to bring out how when I was interviewing some of you regarding your family experiences, your thoughts and feelings, one question I asked some of you is, do you feel like your past experiences, your childhood, is affecting how you are living today in your workplace, in your church life, with the people around you? And everybody I asked that question to said yes. I know that actually some of those lies or hurts are still affecting me today. But what is interesting is while we're all in this process of deciding to change our minds, choosing truth, choosing to believe the truth, we're in this process. And so that's where I saw a lot of us are. We're in this process where we're like, I can see that my insecurity or my lack of connection or my lack of feeling important and loved is affecting me today, but I don't know yet all the way how to change that and how to be able to step into powerful relationships. But we're all wanting to. I hear everybody's heart is, I'm wanting to, I'm in the process, I'm learning, I'm growing in that area. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So if my panel tonight could come up, Denise, Brittany, and Pastor Marcus. And tonight is going to be, in a way, a type of a part two, because last week we talked about, you can just hold this for now, a lot of, you saw for the past two times how family can talk about difficult things without becoming angry and defensive. Like how it's really important at family that we can share how we experience things, how we perceived things. It doesn't mean it's always necessarily true, but this is how I perceived it, and I need to be able to talk to you about it, and that we can have really calm, loving conversations about things that are tough. So, and now tonight I want to bring it around that insecurities or lies that we believed when we were young, we are powerful. We have tools, how to transform our minds, how to change our minds about things that we used to believe wholeheartedly were true, and now we're like, you know what, that isn't true. I am not alone. That isn't true. I don't have to do everything myself. That isn't true. So tonight is a bit of the process of how we step out of orphan thinking and step into family thinking. So, yeah. So last week, thank you so much again, Brittany and Denise, for sharing so vulnerable your story and your hearts last week. So we saw last week how your childhood, your upbringing definitely affected how you felt like you participate in kingdom family with mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. So let's start with when you were still feeling the effects of the lies, what did you think of when you came into, say, our church culture and you saw leadership in motion? You saw some instructions. You saw instructions being given, expectations maybe. How did that feel to you when you saw there's standards, there's expectations, there's things here that are acceptable, not acceptable? How did that feel to you?
For me, even before that, the main reason that I came to church was because I wanted to learn more about Jesus, and I was just starting to realize that I was unhealthy. I didn't even know how unhealthy I was, or how unhealthy our family was operating. You know, to me, it was normal to talk like that, and then I noticed through Hector actually that I wanted to be more like that. And he would say, we're put here to build each other up, and we don't call anybody by anything other than their name. And that was how it first started. And then when I came here and saw that living out, it was different. And I wanted to learn that. And then as far as instruction, I didn't really get instruction immediately, probably not until I guess I started in discipleship. But I didn't do well with that because if you if I didn't value the person that was giving me the instruction, I was very judgmental. So if I didn't think that you had anything to offer me, I wouldn't take instruction from you. So in the beginning, you were probably the first one, I think, that I really had instruction from discipleship. But I struggled with that because I would take it easier from Marcus than I would from you, because he was the lead, he was the head. I'm sure also because you were a woman. So to me, I didn't value instruction from women. I didn't necessarily have a problem with authority, but it had to have importance to me, or something that I had to there had to be something that I wanted from that relationship, or I didn't value the relationship.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, now let's hear from Brittany. When you first came and stepped into this culture, were there things that felt weird, odd, scary?
Yes.
And
Yes,
what
there
were
were.
they?
So I guess at first, I didn't really like hugs. That was probably the first noticeable thing, because I walked in and that was immediate. And that just totally, I was completely closed to physical touch, accepting it, definitely giving it. So that was really weird to me walking in. So that was definitely number one. Number two would be sharing my feelings. That was completely foreign to me, because anytime before, we don't talk about feelings. So now you want me to talk about my feelings? You do. I don't even know how to talk about my feelings. I don't even have words. I know happy, sad, mad, the end. And then the other thing would be taking correction. As soon as I hear correction, I shut down. That's rejection to me. So those are the three main things for me.
Okay. When did you start realizing that you actually were the daughter of God, that he loved you, and actually you were important, and it was actually important what you felt? When did that just begin to enter into your mind that, wow, I am the daughter of the King, the creator of the world, and he really cares about what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. He sees me.
Probably the more I was open to him talking to me. So I didn't realize it until I was in discipleship, and you would talk to me all the different ways God could talk, because I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't feel loved. By God, I don't feel loved by him. I don't think he sees me. So walking through different things that I would kind of discount, that's not God. And actually verbalizing them, hey, this happened to me today, and having someone say, hey, that was God. Do you see that was God? And actually having someone give it words that is God. Do you see that that's God loving you? And really having someone point it out to me, and then saying, oh, wow, he does love me. Look how much I missed of every little step. And then getting to go back into my whole childhood and see, oh, there he was. Oh, there he was again. There he was.
Yeah, really good. So this whole part of building trust with people, you're building trust with the Lord, you're building trust with a whole new family. So what did that feel like? Let's go back to Denise. You said that trusting women was difficult. Talk about that a little bit, and how the Lord helped you with that piece.
And not just women. It was anybody that, I guess, that wasn't really in authority. I always felt, that if I didn't have something to offer, that I wasn't valuable. So if you valued me, you wanted something from me. You couldn't just love me for who I was. So then performance comes in with that. With trust, I just shut down everything. So nobody ever really knew the real Denise. Nobody got to see that I had a heart. To me, being sad, being scared, that was weakness. So I didn't trust anybody enough to reveal that to them for probably, the first couple of years that I was here. To me, that was not safe.
Okay. When did you start feeling that process beginning? What words did you hear? What encounters with the Lord, or what kind of helped you to say, this is a good journey to go on? to trust?
I mean, I heard from the Lord, and I trusted the Lord, but I think it was just the perseverance of my church family, of you, of Marcus, and just all of you. You're just consistent with, just reaching out, just loving on me, not expecting anything, and that's when the walls started to come down, and that's when I started to trust, very slowly, and let people, into my life.
Yeah. And let's just take a minute and define trust. So trust is really, it's kind of like this big word, but trusting really means I will allow you to meet my needs. I will allow you to be that close to know what I need and to meet my need. Absolutely.
Part of the process is that, we all come from a different family setup. And when you don't have healthy family, you're never going to understand what heavenly family structure is like. And you're going to find that what is represented, hopefully, in the church today is the Father's heart towards you and the brothers and sisters' heart towards you. And if you don't have a healthy representation at home, when you see it here, it's going to most of the time come across like, I don't trust you, controlling, you have an agenda. So a lot of times is when we are in Brittany's case, for example, we're hugging and nice. Why are you hugging me? There must be a reason why. Why are you smiling? Why are you being kind to me? Because the world uses that as manipulation. But here, we don't. Here, we actually build you up. We encourage you. Encouragement in the world most of the time is flattery because we want something. So the process that we're trying to accomplish with this panel is to say, we're really trying to let you in on, if you come from a broken home, that you don't have a healthy mom and dad connection or brother or sister connection, when you come in here, you're going to start fighting what God as a healthy family structure is presenting. And that's going to be offensive to you until you actually open your heart to say, okay, wait a moment, there's somebody trying to teach me something. And the church is actually here to represent what the Father is saying to you. And he has a lot of people around you telling you that. And that's what builds identity. So everybody is supposed to communicate what God the Father's heart is, and that is communicated to you. And that's a lot of times we're going to block that if we don't come from a healthy family. And what Teresa, the study she did on us, in interviewing most of you, is that I'm still hampered, I'm still held back because I haven't walked through my hurts. And this story is really interesting because the process that they're walking through is this process to become healthy in family. And then the outcome is, I'm going to be a light now. I have influence now. Not because of what Marcus says, because Marcus agreed with God. Not because of what Teresa said, but because Teresa agreed with God and she spoke into me what God says. And because of that, now I'm a light in the world. Because of that, I have favor now because I have influence. And it's no longer performance. It's no longer turned inward, but it's turned outward. So I want you to hear the story. Everybody has to come to that part. I don't care how good your family was or how rotten it was, but we all have to still learn what the Father's heart is and what he is representing and how we're going to be that. And that's the process of this. So I just wanted to maybe put it a little bit more into context. So.
Yeah.
And one other thing, I mean, I'm still walking through this a little bit, but certainly not where I was. But I would think that, leadership was always watching me, just watching me for, to see where I was going to mess up or judge me because I was so judgmental. So I didn't have a grid for somebody that just wanted to tell me what God thought about me and that wanted to love on me without an agenda, because I always had an agenda. So that was really tough. And still at times I struggle with that. I'm walking through that.
Yeah, that's really good to be aware of and to understand, like, moving forward, Denise, how did that actually feel? Because when I say, like, we're giving instruction, I don't mean like we're bossing people and controlling people. But just in a family setting, there are certain things that we're like, okay, now it's time to eat. Now it's time to sit at the table. Now it's time for dessert. Things like that. If you grew up in a home where it was everybody did what they wanted at the time that they wanted to, know any homes like that? Everybody eats dinner when they want. Everybody does what they want when they want. it actually can feel really strange to be like, okay, now it's dinner time. Okay, now it's time for dessert. Okay, now it's time to let's sit together and watch a TV show together. That can feel almost like you're being bossed around and told what to do. Did that?
Well, for me, I did have structure at a younger age, so dinner time, that kind of stuff was norm for me. But what wasn't was like playing games. Playing games in my home, that was fighting. That was a horrible experience. So I hated to play games. And even when I first came here, and we were having, I think it was during Christmas time, we were doing some sort of a game, and I left because I just didn't want to do it. And then I learned later, as I was healing, that even if it's something that I don't really enjoy doing, that because the people I care about enjoy doing it, that I can do it with them. I don't have to do it all the time, but that's what family does. So that I didn't have a grid for, and now I do. I realize that other people's, things that other people enjoy, I can do with them because I care about them, not because I have to enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Brittany, do you have any other
love
stories?
Board games.
Do you have any other examples of things that might have felt odd, weird, or strange to you?
Well, I used those already. I can give like more specifics if you would like for my three. But yeah, for definitely communication was really hard for me. I said my feelings were hard, but just communication in general is hard because our family likes to get loud and passionate during conversations that we're passionate about. And so to learn how to not do that, and that's not how you communicate, was hard, and sometimes still can be hard because I just can feel it rising.
When you say passion, do you mean anger? Or when you say passion?
It's usually anger. I don't even know if it's anger because like we can get over it fast. I don't really know what you would call it. But needing to be right over each other, and then and we'll get louder and louder because we have to talk over each other to make our point.
Okay.
Yeah.
The loudest one
so it's
wins.
not even
Gotcha.
like, I wouldn't say it's 100% anger because we're not angry, but we want to be right.
You want to be right and you're not like listening
Yeah.
to each other.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So not communicating like that.
Okay. All right. Great. So now that we've kind of identified some of the things that can commonly feel strange or odd, is this talking calmly to each other, listening to each other, having the patience to hear each other out, and not jumping in. So when we're learning to do some of these things, what are some of those real practical steps that you have taken, each of you have taken, to really say, I'm going to learn this because I want to? Did something look attractive to you that made you want to learn that other behavior, I would imagine? To listen, to communicate well. Did that?
Well, for me, I mean, and you know this because you discipled me, I would never let you finish your sentences. I would just always interrupt because I'm a fixer too, so I would be too busy thinking about what I was going to say while you were talking to really even listen to you. Where now, because people have listened to me and have just taken the time to sit and listen, now I value that, and I'm getting better at it. I'm not all the way there yet because I still get excited and I want to jump right in there. But I can, I couldn't even sit up on a panel like this because I would be interrupting you, microphone or not. I just couldn't wait to talk. I didn't value what the other person was saying. So by seeing how you all were communicating with each other, I learned to value that and not to interrupt.
Yeah, and that value that you have to listen to other people comes because you're seeing now them from God's perspective, from God's heart. You have God's heart for people, so you want to hear what they have to say. That's an amazing transformation right there.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I used to do, and sometimes still do, was little tantrums. If I didn't get my way or was given instruction that I didn't agree with, I would throw a tantrum or pout.
And so what would be the result of that, having a tantrum?
It wouldn't be good. It doesn't work, so why bother doing it?
So what tool did you learn then to do something different than?
Communicate. to talk about, how, I can tell if I'm starting to activate, and either, or I have people in my life that can speak into my life if I don't realize that I'm off or activating. And I can accept that now, where before I would take, I'd be totally defensive over that, wouldn't want to hear it, you're trying to control me, and, so on and so forth. Now I see that, I'm almost, happy to hear these things, because I know that I'm going to grow as a result of it.
Yeah, we hear a lot about a fear of control. What's that about, Brittany?
For me, yeah, I had a big fear of control. I still struggle with control. I like to control. Oh, okay.
He wants a mic.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. Keep going.
What was I? Control.
Control, fear of
You had a big fear of control.
fear of
I had a big fear of control. Where was I going with that, though? I forget. What was the question?
We'll have you walk through it.
How have I walked through?
Have you walked through fear of
Okay,
control?
so for me, like I said, it's definitely something I still have to actively work on, because I like to plan out like 5 years from now. And anyone who knows me, like, if we don't have a plan, like, I go crazy, and it's really hard for me. So really just practicing, okay, do I trust God? Do I trust the people around me? Okay, who really ultimately is always in control? And reminding myself that I really don't have the control, and then finding out why I have this need to control whatever it is, find out what the actual cause of it is, because it's not usually just because I need my day plan. It's usually because some kind of fear, and my fear always came from not knowing, like from my hurts that we talked about last week. So if I could, whatever I can control, then I knew that's where I was going to get certain needs met. So the more I could control, the more I thought I was going to get my needs met. So going back to, okay, what needs not being met that I feel like I have to control this situation?
Yeah.
And the tough part is when you're walking through, for example, tantrums or control, is that when you are connecting with family, we're going to confront that. Yeah. And that is where a lot of people get, like, who do you think you are? Like, why are you confronting that? Like, my dad and mom didn't confront me. Well, who do you think you are? And the challenge of church and the challenge of godly family is, how do we love, but yet also lovingly say, this behavior is really not helpful. And so there has to be gold in what we're talking, but there has to also be said, you know what, this is not something that is helpful. And the way that we represent that is actually by communicating, and this doesn't take time in just 1 week. Right. This is a long time. And so the more we know how to do family, as people come in, it's a very highly confrontive, right? When you have somebody, I always put it into place where when my kids are at my house, and somebody from the street comes in, they don't know what they do, what they can't do, right? And as soon as they do something they shouldn't be doing, I go, why are you doing that? I don't just let them. And so part of the family structure that we're here is we're saying, okay, so if you throw a tantrum, it doesn't look good for a 20 or a 50-year-old to throw a tantrum, right? But if that's all they're used to, they don't know. They don't have a grit for that. And so what we're trying to do is, again, giving the example how the transformation has to happen, that when you want to become a part of a family, and what people are going to know, because Jesus says, you will recognize by the way we love one another. And that is what family does. So it's important that we walk through the hurts, like you said, through the control issues and everything else, and start, and the biggest word is trust. You know, for both of you, the biggest word is trust. And still working on some of those areas, but trust is a big deal. Okay, and you have to willingly want to. We can't force that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you're talking about overcoming the fear of control and trusting and letting other people take care of your needs, like we were talking about. So let's talk about trust a little bit. Okay. How did trust feel at first? Do you remember some of your baby steps?
Oh my gosh, trust was like the scariest thing in the world. Yeah, some of my baby steps, I'm trying to remember the first ones, but I know one time you had me go up to people. You gave me, actually, Teresa, gave me like a little homework assignment just to get me out of my comfort zone of greeting people, because my trust issues were so bad that I didn't want to greet people. I didn't feel valued, and I didn't trust people to be receptive and to just be nice, I guess. I
love
don't know
you
what
back?
I thought. Yeah.
Like love you back?
And so just going up to people and saying hi, and it was just 2 people every time I came to church. Just all I had to say hi to was 2 people that I had to actually initiate. And that was like the hardest thing ever for me, just to trust like that process. And then there was always like little other things that kind of happened just in life along the way that I had to learn to trust the people around me too. But it was really hard, and it's still something that is a work in progress that I still have to go back to working on trust. It's definitely hard.
So how does your heart feel? Do your heart do you have sometimes the experience that you are trusting and you can connect with, while they do care, they are receptive to what I have to say?
Definitely now. There's definitely been trust built. I definitely have trust. It's just, like I said, it's still a work in progress, but it has come a long way. I can definitely trust people. I can open up my heart. I can be vulnerable now. I can share what's going on.
I'm just breathing.
I was waiting for it.
I have back issues right now, so that's why I'm sitting on a stool and everything else. So that's all. So don't take it personal.
Because you're looking down on us.
And I have trust issues when I hear breathing that somebody has to say something. No, but no, I do. I really have come a long way, and sometimes it's actually for me, I don't see it right away, because when that little issue comes up where I'm not trusting, I'm like, darn, I didn't grow at all. And then I realize, okay, that's not true. I have grown. I have let people into my life, and I have changed. So just really remembering that, and then just keep going at it, and just knowing that one day I'm going to be there, and just really just keep pursuing it.
Yeah, because it's really important to celebrate each other and the baby steps that we're doing, that it's not just like, when you get to the end, it's not Candyland. You know, like if you get to the castle, then you win. It's like every step is a victory. And it's really important because both of you have grown just tremendously. And even though you're in the process, it's really a cause for celebration that you even chose so much to do this much intentionality and so much growth. So you're talking about like how now you can experience vulnerability and you can experience letting people take care of your needs that you are seeing. That's great. All right, Denise, how about you? Would you have anything to share about your...
I just want to piggyback on the one thing where you say, oh, darn, I'm not growing. And the enemy does that. He'll get in there, constantly, to tell you, no, you're not growing. Look at you. You're right back where you are, but you're not. And having people around you that keep reinforcing that you are growing is just so important and crucial.
Yeah. Do you have any recollection of baby steps towards trusting and letting others take care of your needs? Because I know you said one of your things was, I take care of myself. I don't need anyone.
Yeah, for me, it was a little different than Brady. I had no problem hugging, very outgoing, but, you didn't really know me. That wasn't an issue, but I really never let you in. For me, asking for help, and I don't remember exactly the first, but I know I had to call Marcus at one time. I think my car broke down or something. That was so hard for me to do, even just to ask for help. And then as because it was always, I had to do something for somebody. Nobody would just help me. I either had to pay you, I had to do, whatever I could do. If I had to help you in real estate, I always had to give you something in return. There was no helping just to help because you loved me or cared about me. So as I saw that, and most of it was Marcus in the beginning with things that he would do just to help me without wanting anything in return. That's when I first started to realize that people would do things for you without an agenda.
Yeah.
And I think also you asked a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I think that was the vital part, is because you're constantly, okay, why are you doing this? Why this? Why this? And you were vulnerable enough to say, well, it looks like, this is just, you're doing this because whatever, and all the things, which I thought that's the most important part, that you actually verbalize your fears, that you verbalize, are you playing games? You verbalize, like, are you manipulating? We had these conversations. And over time, you recognize, okay, no matter what I throw at it, it's always, the answers are the same. And that over time also brings something into you, because you see the time. Again, this is a long time. You've been here 6-7 years now. And so this is not just something that happened in one conversation, a 3-week counseling session, and you're done.
Right. No, absolutely, and especially when I first came, because we were purchasing the prayer house, and that was my area of expertise, and I thought, well, that's why they're being nice to me, because they need me, because I know this, which is what I've lived my whole life, and that's just how I thought people did life.
And you thought I was really dumb.
Yes, I did. Not really dumb, but I thought like he was naive. Like I didn't realize things that I saw, and a lot of this, and we've talked about this, because I mean I grew up in New York and I was very street smart, and so a lot of it can be judgment, but I would see things and think, how can he not see that? But just because he didn't express it to me, because first of all, it probably was none of my business, or for whatever reason, I just thought he was really naive. So.
Yeah, especially because I bring it up because I want you guys to understand this is vulnerability, okay? And you're not going to grow past it if you don't have these conversations. And she's not bringing it up probably because she doesn't want to, dishonor me. But I want to bring it up because I think it's important that you guys recognize you have to be able to talk about the things that are unpleasant, or else you will never pass the point of I'm going to trust now. If you never ask the difficult questions, and you never get an answer, you don't have to like the answer, but at least you need to get an answer. And over time, the consistency of the answer will show in life and in speech. It's not every time a different one. And I think the one part is like, you're going to get this property for yeah, God said so. And you can say that.
And when we were putting the offer in on the prayer house, and he told me I forget what it was listed at.
$70,000.
Yeah, I knew that was 70, but I think it was listed at $299 or whatever. And I'm like, this guy is off
300 and something, yeah.
I'm like, I'm almost embarrassed to put this offer in. And there were so many other things, but it's not like just sitting up here on a panel and this happened overnight. This was, we've
years,
we've been meeting for years, and some of our meetings get really hot and heavy, and I'm arguing, and not so much these days, but in the beginning, like I would just get so angry at him, and but I did always come back. I have to say, I didn't.
And we were not. I was not offended by that, but I want this to be out because it doesn't always. The process never looks maybe as pretty, but the beauty is that if you stick to it, then what you have is a really close relationship, and you're growing, and you're actually finding out that family, when it gets tough, doesn't split, doesn't leave, but actually we're getting closer and closer. And yeah, like she said, it got heated, and it's okay. So what? You're learning how to do the family, and if you don't have all the tools, and I'm not perfect, this is part of life. But if you don't do that, you never get to pass the threshold of what actually kingdom family is. So.
Yeah, and that's something I had never, ever experienced before. I'm talking snot and tears and just pouring out my heart, and I had never done that before, and that you can't grow until you do that, until you get real and you share and you're vulnerable. You can't get past that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's amazing is not only do you grow, but you actually build really strong bonds with people when you work through conflict and you stay. And you say, I'm not leaving this room until we can get to understand to the point where we're understanding each other. We don't have to agree. But until I understand you, I don't want to leave the room. And that's amazing because I know a lot of us didn't grow up in homes where that was the core value. It was like, you tick me off, go to your room. You tick me off, I'm leaving. But really having this family where it's like the more we need to understand each other, the more we need to really become intentional and say, I really need to understand you right now. I want to hear and I want to get what is going on inside of you.
And I just want to say, because powerful people will have opinions, and getting loud in my, for me, we're ping pong people in our house, and just meaning from my upbringing is we talk, the other person talks back. When I talk and the other person doesn't talk back, it's not a good omen. We're just talking personality styles, because then it's like, what are you doing? You're ignoring what I'm saying, right? And you want the ping pong. I'm used to that. So if somebody's not used to that, guess what? Either you go, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? You're actually drilling them into the ground. They're just processing. They're not verbal processors like you. And so maybe Denise and I, because of our personalities, we can go, but everybody else in the room would think they'll never see each other again. They're done. This is over, right? But because it doesn't bother me. I have to learn more on the passive side when somebody doesn't speak and doesn't, But again, this is part of family. So you have brothers and sisters in your house that work differently, and you have to learn, how do they talk? How do they verbalize? And they have to learn how Marcus verbalizes. But that's all part of the process.
And one thing that for me was huge, and this was more recent with you, was whatever we were discussing, I was upset about, and you would apologize, even though you weren't wrong. But you apologized because my perception or whatever, for whatever reason, I was upset over something. And I thought, wow, like that to me was, I'd never experienced that before. Somebody saying they're sorry for something that they didn't even do, but it just took me like right down. Mm-hmm. And it was, it really, it showed me your heart.
Yeah. And that's what we try to do. And she can tell you I'm not that perfect at all. But but the point is we try really hard to actually show the heart of the Father, and we walk through it. And even though we don't do it all the way right at the end, and there's been many times where we didn't see eye and eye, and we didn't, but we said, okay, we'll try it next week. We'll try it next week. It's okay. We didn't get a resolution. We'll try it next week. And that was always the thing, but we never gave up. We never said, forget about it.
That too was huge for me, where I would actually say, Marcus, I can't take anymore right now. And just being able to say that to him, because for me that would have been weakness, but I can say that now, you know what, I can't go on right now. We'll continue, next week or whenever. And then I would process or spend some time with the Lord. But now I know that that's okay to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Go ahead, Brittany. You say something.
Something.
How are you enjoying communicating as a powerful person? How do you experience communication?
It's still a work in progress, but it's getting a lot better. I don't, I'm trying to think of the main differences. I guess for me, I would completely shut down before and just stop talking.
Just be quiet and kind of go in yourself.
Yeah, I was just done. Like, whatever you guys talk, I'm done, kind of a thing. And so getting me to the point where it was either that or I would completely explode. There was like no kind of middle. It was either not talking at all or I am exploding somehow. So learning how to share things before it gets to those points where I'm completely closed off or I'm just word vomit everywhere. And yeah.
Because you value, what I'm seeing in you is that you value yourself. And so you value what you have to say. And when you think that something that you have to give is important, you're going to package it. Like, you're going to put it in a respectful package. Because now I think what you have to say is really important.
Thanks.
And you don't have to volcano it for me to hear it.
Yeah. And that's...
We will hear it without you blasting.
And one of the things about Brittany is, too, is that, she... Even though it gets really tough, even though it's really hard for her, one of the things that she always comes back for more. Yeah. And that is the thing that you don't shut down. And there's been times where, in our 6-year journey where she did shut down, but doesn't matter. We consistently pursued. But she shut down doesn't mean she left. She just shut down for a while, and then you just water her, and then she'll open up again, she'll come back. But because inside there's something that she said, I want to know, I want to be this, I'm sick and tired of, with my wounds, I need to get healed. Yeah. And that's the thing that drives. And the beauty is that when we're able to do that as a family and gather really as a godly family together around each other, and we really have that trust and that belief that they really want the best for me, it becomes a total freedom and a trust and a freedom that is so great that is contagious for everybody else to want to be a part of. If you know about a family that is really tight and really good, they really get along well, you always felt like you want to be a part of that. A lot of my friends in school, they always want to be a part of my family. I go, I want your family because nobody cares what you're doing, right? And they go, no, we love your parents. They really care. I go, I don't want to talk to my friends. I want to go outside, right? And so the part is when you learn that this is what that actually looks like, that's awesome. And that's what the culture, in the kingdom culture, that's what that looks like. If you read scripture, you have people who are maybe not agreeing altogether, but never slander each other. They never gossip. They never do any of that kind of stuff. They say, oh, we have a disagreement. Okay. And powerful people have this disagreement. That's okay. It's totally fine. But it becomes, we're still together. We still love each other. We still honor each other. And that's what you're seeing in process with both of them, working that out. What they learn here, they work that into their family. They work that into church. They work that into work. They work it in their relationships. It starts becoming that. And that's the process of really learning what kingdom family is.
Yeah. And so with that, I want to step into kind of like the positive part of what has happened in your life specifically. Do you feel championed? What's been championed in you? What have you discovered about who you really are because you're part of this? Because when we are part of a really healthy, powerful family, we will become powerful. So let's start with Brittany, since you have that powerful microphone. What has emerged from out of you? What have you discovered about yourself? What's been championed in you?
Well, a lot of things have been championed in me. One of them is that I can do a lot more than I thought I could. I talked about last week, like my whole identity was in school, so that's all I really knew that I was good at. So learning that I can do other things. When I first came here, I hated the mic. I wouldn't talk on it at all. So that was championed. No, your voice is powerful. You do have important things to say. You are, just as valuable as anyone here. And another thing that I think was huge too is I wanted no part of any kind of like a leadership role. I wanted no part of that. I saw my mom in business, and I just thought that's what any type of leadership looks like. And I wanted no. So I, took those. I forget what test it was, and it was like my gifting was gift of administration. I'm like, that stinks. I don't want that. I want something cool, because it was lies that I partnered with, and so learning that, no, I actually do have a gift of administration, and that is something that not everyone has, and that is special, and that seeing that get championed and seeing like, okay, so just because I don't have to be like a leader, that's, but I do have leadership qualities to do different things in my life, whether I'm at the workplace. I can lead just in how I walk in there, and I've gotten to actually see awesome testimonies of that, of just how I have walked into there, and so that's all stuff that has come from what champions here that I can bring there.
Yeah, you actually are a really powerful influencer. And I think that's what you're alluding to, right? Like even at your workplace?
Yes.
You're an influencer and really bringing change. Great. All right, Denise, what has been championed in you?
So I went from being a person that led by fear, because my employees had to listen to me or I wouldn't pay them, or in my house, to realizing that I am a nurturer, and I am loving, I am joyful, I'm generous, and most recently that I'm an evangelist. So, yeah. So when you have people speaking truth and speaking what God sees in you, and then you walk in your identity, your God-given identity, so that's freedom. Mm-hmm.
That is really great. Is there anything you want to say before we close up soon?
What we just to bottle it up in couple sentences is that when you're saying, look, this is what I've become, before you didn't know that. Right. And when you're part of a godly family, they start speaking what God sees about you. And over time, you start listening, you start seeing it, and then you start behaving accordingly, not to please us, not to show off, but to actually believe your identity. And you start, when you have identity, it just happens. And what Teresa said about Brittany is, you become an influencer. Influencers are not performance people. Influencers is that you just can't help but, because Paul says, I can't help but preach, because your destiny starts coming alive in you. That DNA that God has put in you starts pouring out because it's got ignited by the Spirit of God. And that happens when you're in a godly family. And that's what we're trying to explain or give light to as we're sitting here from last Wednesday, when you hear the upbringing story, where hopefully some of that connected with you. We got our family up here, and God's grace, they were awesome enough to say,
Yes.
let's do this.
Yeah.
Because what we're trying to communicate is, no matter what your past is, no matter what your family upbringing is, be bold enough and start hitting those giants that are not allowing you to grow and actually partake and receive family values, kingdom family values. And when you're not able to receive that, you're actually hindering yourself in working in the family, in the kingdom. And now Denise goes out and she has the back of all this family when she goes into the borough and she prays and she evangelizes. And she's showing family kingdom values there. You're doing the same thing at work. She goes, this is what I'm doing. So that's the vital part. And when we're here, we're working at each other. We're working, we're being iron sharpening iron, and we're growing. And that's the beauty of when we actually want to really become a part of Kingdom Family. And I hope that what we did the last two panels, it becomes really instrumental in your life, and that you would give everybody around you the chance to say, you know what, I want to do that. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to have to take a lot of persistence on your part. And let me tell you, it's not going to look pretty, because your fears are not pretty. Yeah. Your control issues are not pretty. And they're destroying you. But if you let them go with people who love you in spite of that, guess what? You're going to be an awesome person. Yeah. Because you're no longer living under lies, but you live with truth, and you live with people who encourage you and speak boldly into your life what God says about you. Yeah. And that's what you see on both of them. They're becoming that amazing person. I'm still becoming, I haven't gotten there. Teresa's still getting there, and all of us are still working there. None of us has arrived, but we're all working at it to try to get better at what God has called us to be. Yeah.
And I just have one more thing, because when you're performing, it's exhausting, absolutely exhausting. But when you're walking in your identity, like when I go out to that borough, I am just so excited to go out there. I'm so excited to cook. I'm so excited to pray for these people and to intercede. So when you are in your identity, it's just, the yoke is light.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, not having to impress. Yeah. Not having to press. And freedom is just being who we are, where we are, not trying to act like we're
and having fun at it.
A different place, and just laughing while you're doing it. Okay, great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'm just going to close with a declaration, and then you guys can give them a round of applause. So God, right now, we just say yes to Heavenly Family. We say yes to Kingdom Family. We say yes to letting each other know what we need. We say yes to letting each other know what's inside of us, and letting each people heal those parts of us, and enjoying this process, God. We say yes to having fun and enjoying this process. In Jesus' name, amen.